I bought an entire. Oh, wait one sec. I bought an entire Newcastle stack this year on Sorare. Yes, guys, my first season on Sorare is completed now, and I want to take you guys through sort of what my thinking or thoughts were throughout the season, and also talk about my thought processes at the start of the season, what they are now, and all that good stuff. If you guys are new to Sorare, I think you're going to really enjoy this video because you can totally see someone that is being completely open, honest, transparent with all the things that I've spent. So I will be showing you guys a full breakdown of how much this all cost me, and I'll also be showing you guys how much money I've yielded this year from my collection and my gallery in general. So if you guys are new to Sorare, then of course you can sort of get a real breakdown on how things work, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks, and of course if you guys are more experienced, then there might be something in here for you as well. Maybe you collected a different club, maybe you had a different experience. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys done something like this, did you guys pick up an entire gallery this season? Did you guys go with a different strategy? Because I think this is the great thing about Sorare, is it is a game, obviously, first and foremost, and there are so many strategies and ways you can go about playing it. So my strategy for this year was to basically stack as much Newcastle as possible, and this strategy actually changed as the season went on, and I thought, why not show you guys and talk about my experience on Sorare this year, and what pretty much ultimately my decisions and my strategies have come down to. Was it worth it? Did I make money? Did I lose money? That sort of good stuff. Of course, if you guys are new to Sorare and you do really want to help me out, I do appreciate if you could sign up using my link in the description down below, because it really does help me out. And without any further ado, let's get into the video today. Of course, remember to leave a like and subscribe. That's a given, of course, of course. And yeah, so first and foremost, I will say, when they, for those of you guys that didn't know, at the start of this year, they'd done a promo. I think it was Sorare's like first time doing it, where if you bought a player, for example, I'm going to use this example because I know this happened to me. I bought a Joe Willock on auction at the start of the year, and I bought him for £5.16. However, the promo that they had was, you had, I think it was a 10% opportunity to earn another player from the same collection, and I did win this Jacob Murphy with my Willock. Now, the reason I'm saying that to start things off is because I'm going to show you guys how much I paid for all of these players that you can see on screen. But of course, some of them were rewards, so they didn't cost me anything, if that makes sense. So, probably make more sense when I show you guys the actual spreadsheet. But you can see here, my grand total spend of my Newcastle stack gallery, whatever you want to call it, was £394. So I spent £68. I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see exactly who we spent what on, if that makes sense. I could click through every single player on Sorare, but just easier to see on a spreadsheet. So also I've nicknamed some of them, but I'm sure you guys can tell who it is. You can see we spent £68.33 on the goalkeepers, and you can see a large majority of that, of course, came from Pope, who was supposed to be the starting goalkeeper this year, and did play a lot, obviously most of the games, but I will say Dubravka did fill in for him fantastically this season, and of course we'll talk on to why that is important later on in the video. Odi Aziz was a new signing for Newcastle, and I think there was like a lot of hype around him, hence why he was actually more expensive than Dubravka, and I think Dubravka might have been linked with a move away. Anyway, all I knew is my goal for this season was literally purely to buy every single player, no matter how much they were. So I will say straight away, there is something I've learnt, especially for you experienced managers. I have learnt that perhaps it is not the smartest idea, especially if you know, so I knew Mark Gillespie and Odiziz are not going to play in goal for Newcastle, but I still bought them day one at premium price. So I think my learning curve probably for next year, and something you guys can take into next year, is I think the first and second keeper, buy them as soon as you can, very important, and of course important for the collection bonus, don't get me wrong, but maybe the other ones you can maybe wait at least a month or so, because it's not too important. As long as you've got the 5% collection score, for those of you guys that don't know what I mean, pretty much when you collect cards in Sorare, when you reach 500 lightning, which you obtain from owning the cards, you get 5% boost on your cards, so it's very important to get the 5% boost, especially if you're going off against other people that have similar stacks to you. So yeah, I've learned that pretty quickly, that maybe Odyssey's at £5 and Gillespie at £3 was a bit of an overpay. But anyway, moving on to the defence as well. Similar, I knew Trippier wasn't going to get as much game time as expected this year. Again, Botman, I bought them on day one, and Botman literally had an ACL and didn't play until whatever it was, Christmas. So bit of an overpay for a lot of these players. The people that I definitely didn't overpay for was Lewis Hall and Livramento. I was happy to pay that price, and I knew they were gonna have a good season, and they did. So yeah, overall speaking, overall, I guess defensively, I think Botman is the only big overpay here. I think the rest of them are okay. Kelly's a bit of an overpay as well, but again, a new signing. I think you guys are going to see this maybe next year, and so the new signings might be a little bit expensive, but yeah. So we spent £72 and 49 pence on the defence, and you can see, actually, to be fair, for the amount of cards we got, it's actually not that bad. And I will mention, of course, ML Craft we got as a reward. Again, like I stated at the start of the video, that was part of the promo of buying the cards. You got some of them as a reward. So yeah, moving on to the midfield. Now, we did spend £130 in the midfield, so a large chunk of the £394, and a large majority of that come from Bruno Guimarães, and of course £80. I remember at the start of the season, he was like, you had to have him, you know what I mean? So a lot of people were like, okay, he's a must, you got to get him in, yada yada yada. And to be honest, in terms of like consistency and just like, if you want that guy, you know he's going to play, you know he's barely ever going to rest, he's going to play every match, he's going to get yada 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 yada. You don't have the stress of worrying, oh, is Murphy going to play, is Tonali going to play, is all of, pretty much every midfielder this season has been like, at one stage or another, it's been like, not sure if he's going to play. I think Bruno, he might have only missed maybe 1 or 2 Premier League games this season, so with that being said, I think £78 at the time was fair. Looking back on it, of course, we know that Bruno did not score that fantastic this season. However, the man I got as a reward, Mr. Murphy, did yeah, I mean, come to the end of the season, he was the man to be in the Newcastle stacks. Him and Tonali. So yeah, I think overall, generally speaking, in the midfield, I think I definitely overpaid for Joelinton. Looking back on it, although he is a fantastic midfielder, I think we would all agree he's not quite £10 fantastic, if you know what I mean. Almiron's an interesting one, and of course you guys know we have a series on him on the channel, and he's still earning rewards to this day. And I'm going to talk to you guys as we get nearer to this end of the end of the video, and I talk about gaming yield and how much this stack did pretty much win me at the end of the year. I do want to talk a little bit about Almiron because that one's interesting, and he's still yielding me rewards, of course. So yeah. Generally speaking, though, midfield, I mean, I think players like Hayden, Miley, I knew they're not really going to play, but I just wanted them because I like Newcastle. So yeah, Miley's probably a bit of an overpay considering we all knew he was going to be back up this year and likely next year as well. So yeah, and then moving on to the forwards, we paid pretty much the same price, but of course for a lot less players, and the main reason for that is, of course, Alexander Isak and Gordon. They were like the two hitters. They were like the stack. I guess the stack everyone thought you needed at the start of the year was pretty much Pope, Shaw or Hall, but most people picking Lewis Hall. Bruno G, Gordon, Isak. So of course they were the premium ones that you had to pay for. Gordon, do you know what? Yeah, I mean, he's not had a great season, obviously. But looking back on it, considering how much he played playing for England, all that stuff. I think 40 was actually a pretty good price, to be honest. And Isak, of course, he's like the star man, so you're going to be paying the Starbucks. Crazy to think we actually paid less for an Isak than a Bruno G. Obviously, looking back on it, it's like crazy to think, but back then, Bruno G was actually scoring better than Isak, and he was like the man that you would captain quite a lot. So, yeah. So all in all, like I said, £122 for the attackers. We did pay £394 for the stack, and yeah, I want to take you guys through what happened in the year then before we get on to the grand reveal of how much money did we make. Starting things off, I'm going to talk to you guys about the results of the year. Now, obviously, I can't go through every single result, but I've just picked out a few results, mainly against one team, just to show you guys where a large majority of the chunk of the change came from. In case you guys don't believe me or whatever, of course you can check my gallery anyway. But yeah, starting things off quite early in the season, Newcastle managed to win 4-0 against Leicester, and you can see here everyone performed fantastically. Of course, I watched this game live as well, and Lewis scored a 100 bomb, Isak 94, and everyone pretty much played fantastically. And you can see here the most commonly picked five was actually the five that done fantastic, which led us to a podium finish. Dubravka, of course, I think this was one of his first games replacing Pope, or because Pope got an injury. Hall, Bruno G, Isak, and Gordon, usually the five that people go with. And yeah, you can see we went with that exact five, captained Isak. And now, I've spoke about this previously on the channel, and my mistake for this lineup, and something that I've learned for next season, is don't try and cheap out with a classic, because it cost me massively here. As you can see, we got $300 returned, which is obviously fantastic. But had I have just put my in-season Bruno, because my collection and my XP was better than this guy at the time, I would have got $700, and that would have instantly returned all my money. As you can tell, we paid 400. So yeah, wasn't to be. We did we did finish third, and that goes to show you guys just how important XP and collection score is. You know, 1 or 2 points separating the top four, and it's, we're talking a lot of money, a lot of difference, money wise. So yeah, that was the first big result to talk about. The second big result, again against Leicester, away from home this time, 3-0 win, and you can see we yielded $70 from this team, and we captained Isak, who blanked, and of course the man to pick this game week was Harvey Barnes, and yeah, of course I went with the similar stack with one of the fullbacks, so this time Livramento in the left back position, who of course just game changer when he got put in left back, obviously when Lewis Hall got injured. Pope, yeah, so the stack you really wanted was Pope, Livramento, Murphy, Barnes, and Shaw. If you, again, that's pretty much perfect case scenario. And you can see we still yielded $70, and we got the team wrong. With that being said, we did in the same weekend list Pope, Tino, Bruno, Barnes, and Shaw, so nearly perfect. However, I didn't put Murphy, and he would have been the correct pick. And we managed to yield $200 here. Again, 0.15 off of $300 again, and yeah, we're about 2 points off of first, and yeah, you can see that he pretty much just got the correct stack and the correct captain, mainly because our captain of Bruno G was not the best choice. I think everyone else outscored him. So yeah, generally speaking, we, I would say, had the right tactic of stacking the clubs and the players all together at the same time. But I think just, a couple of better decisions here or there could have led to a even greater season. Now, looking back on it, of course, it's easy to say, should have done this, should have done that. I would say captaining Bruno is something I really don't do often, but I done it because they're away from home. Looking back on it, of course, I wish I could have captained Tino Livramento, and that's easy to say now because he scored so well. But generally speaking, as you guys can see, in all three of these squads, the best scorer was the defender. So maybe something to think about going into the next season for those of you guys if you've never hit a podium on Sorare. Of course, this is my first season and I've hit 2 podiums. Maybe something to think about for you guys. The defenders might be the one in terms of like like all-time peaks. You know what I mean? So yeah, because obviously, if let's just say hypothetically, I captain Lewis Hall, I would have finished first in this lineup. Again, Captain Livramento would have got. I don't know what I would have got, but I would have been a lot better. And again, Captain Livramento probably would have won. So, yeah, potentially something to think about. Now, moving on to the individuals, then. Of course, I couldn't show you guys every single result, but I just wanted to show you guys how I worked out how much I've won. So I went on my player page, or every single player's page, and went down here, and you can see that Isak has been included in £389 worth of rewards, but him himself has earned 109. So I pretty much done that for all players, like just got their individual, and then obviously added it up like that. So Isak, of course, has yielded quite a lot. I'm just going to go through a couple of key ones here. So Gordon, again, 64, quite a lot as well. Bruno, although we paid the most for him, 32 is okay, but yeah, not quite what we would have expected at the start of the season. Livramento, 15, which is decent as well, considering he was, I guess, playing right back where he was not as good in right back. Then an interesting one, our main goalkeeper, and again, guys, this is one to keep note of. £12 from our main goalkeeper, and then of course we have a couple of these like players that earn a little, some money here or there. Lewis Hall as well, 60 odd quid, which is fantastic. So moving on to the grand reveal then. Did we make our money back pretty much from the Newcastle boys? And I can reveal we did. Only just though. So I do have a couple of points to make here. I'll put a couple of notes if you like. So generally speaking, if you just want to take away numbers from this video, we earned 40 quid ish, right? Which is quite people would say that's actually not worth it, because if you're investing £400, quite risky, to only return 40 is quite like maybe not the best idea. But I would say a couple of things to note on people that might think that way. First of all, I still have the entire collection. Now, I will say, of course, if I sold the entire collection right now, I'm not going to make a groundbreaking amount of money, but I would make maybe 100 quid or so, which would then make the investment worth it, in my opinion. You know, if you're making 150 odd, like more money than you invested, you would say that's pretty good, or I would say that's pretty good. Also, I want to note the fun I had this year building the squads, following the team, getting the results. That is definitely something that can't be accounted for. That's something the money can't buy. Is the excitement and the fun and the happiness that you have of playing the game. Third of all, the community that we've built and talk about and all that sort of stuff. Fourth of all, the YouTube channel that we've built on it and stuff like that. So there is a lot to sort of note as well, other than just numbers. But yeah, if we want to get deep, obviously this video is sort of designed to get to ignore that stuff and just focus on the numbers. So obviously that is what I'm here to do. And you can see quite funny here. Always buy the backup, guys. If this doesn't justify it anymore, I don't know what does. So our backup goalkeeper for £2 yields us the price of the first goalkeeper. Trippier actually not too bad. Obviously all the ones that don't have money next to them means that they haven't yielded us any money, if that makes sense. Also, I will note as well, I've just realised you guys might be a bit confused here, but this is Alex Murphy. He doesn't play for Newcastle. I think he's actually in the under 21s or on loan, not Jacob Murphy, just so you guys know. I could be wrong. I think. Do you know what? I'm actually going to check. Is his name? Yeah, Alex Murphy. There you go. Wrong one. So, yeah, Botman actually unlucky this season with his injuries. Shard, fantastic job. Lewis Hall, of course, the main defender for us. So Lewis Hall did yield the most in terms of defenders. Livramento not too far behind. Then we have Murphy, who done a fantastic job considering he wasn't too expensive and we got him as a reward. Bruno yielding about half, which, to be honest, considering the amount of headaches he saved me, I'll take it. Gordon out yielding himself, which is great. And then, of course, Isak, the main man, who has profited the most. So you can see, generally speaking, of course, like I said, things to note is that we have, we still have all of these players. Also, well, that ties in to my next point, which is Almiron. Now, you can see I've only put 77p for Almiron. However, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong part. However, I don't think, I'm pretty sure as well, this hasn't accounted for the hot streaks that I've won with him, which is another entity in Sorare, which again is not going to be much money, but just for those of you guys that like numbers, I think he's returned me a little bit more than 77p, but I just went based on what Sorare data has told me. Even if he has earned me more, I don't think it's much more than 77p. I think it would be, maybe an extra pound or so, if that. So yeah, I think something to note, and also, of course, the fact that he has given me a lot of utility in the MLS competition. Same with a couple of players here, like, who can we pick out? Of course, Kelly to Juventus, of course, got a couple of utility, or a little bit of utility out of him. Ashby and that sort of stuff as well, because Ashby went to QPR. But yeah, generally speaking, I would say the thing to note, which is why I like this as an investment going into the future, is that not only have I made my money back, which is great, but I still have all of these cards I could either sell right now and maybe make 100 quid, like I said, or I can just use them forever in classic competitions and they can keep yielding me. And I think that is the biggest thing, the biggest selling point in Sorare. If you guys are new and you're wondering what makes this a bit different to, say, other fantasy football games, is that I can keep these players forever and I can keep yielding them. Now, granted, I will likely not earn, the opportunity to earn is a lot less in the classic competitions. So for those of you guys that don't know, now that these guys have played a year of football, you now enter them into the classic competition. So it means that you play in a competition that is like it's harder to win things. So therefore you yield less, but the whole point is that I'll continuously make money from this stack now, because, like I said, we've already returned our money there. So yeah, that has been, I guess, the question of the video and the title answered. I bought an entire Newcastle stack and it won me £433.37, and it cost me £394.14. Wow, what a European year it has been here on the channel. Of course, we started off the channel at the start of my Sorare journey, and of course my first ever video was my Sorare journey, and look where this is where it's ended up. And of course I will be trying to make as many videos as I can over the summer, and well, with that being said, we have uploaded on the channel every single day this year, and we carry on, we plan to carry on, keep going, hopefully for as long as I can. And I hope you guys are enjoying all the videos that I am putting out here on the channel. Of course, it is the end of the European season, but there is the great thing about football, there is another season on the horizon to come. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.